Good morning, good morning. All right, if you tune in this morning, guys, let me know if you can hear the audio and if you can see the screen. Good morning, Nick. Can you hear me okay? And can you see the screen? Good, good. All right, great news. So, today is Friday. Obviously, most people would be told not to trade on Friday, and there's a reason for that. Mostly because the volatility is low. All right, things are ending, right? Businesses slowing down, right? Things are just coming to a halt, if you will. But that doesn't mean you can't make money, and it doesn't mean you can't trade, right? The way that I go about it is I show up every day, regardless of whatever day it happens to be. And if there's a trade opportunity, there's a trade opportunity. Okay, so um, if you are one of those individuals who didn't trade on Sunday, or you were told not to trade on Sunday and Friday, try to switch it up and just show up, right? Again, you don't have to trade, right? Once you trade long enough, you'll have a good understanding of when something's ready and when it's not. And when it's not, that's when you don't trade. So that should be the underlying rule to, whether you trade or not what day of the week it is. All right. So just a little tidbit that I want to, throw at you guys so that right? It's a little bit of a myth in to a degree, right? There is truth to it where, you may not make as much, or there may not be a whole lot of activity going on, versus a Tuesday or a Wednesday. But at the same token, my team can vouch for the fact that we've traded on Sundays and Fridays, and we've been able to kill it. All right. So, yeah. With that being said, ladies and gents, let's get to it. All right. So right now, obviously, checking out the dollar as per usual. Okay. And for those of you who don't know, right, the dollar is the index, right? It is measured against all the other major currencies of the world to, you know, determine its performance, or, how it's doing. And as of right now, at least since sep- September 17th, right, the dollar has been rising. All right. And in my weekly watch list, I kind of told you guys that that's what the dollar was going to do, because we pretty much had like this trend line that you can see right here that the dollar had broke above, and it was getting ready to break some of these highs to the left. So that happened right over here where we ended up breaking that high. We pushed up more, breaking the rest of the highs. Then we pulled back, right, to our fair value gap, and then we took off on the dollar. So again, you know, I give you guys alley hoops on Sundays with the watch lists to let you know what should happen throughout the rest of the week. So it's very imperative that you guys don't miss out on those watch lists, right? So that you can be ahead of the game. All right. But since then, right, dollar has done exactly what I expected. It has risen up, and I said that, hey, we might come here to fill this imbalance and tap into the supply, and we're damn near right there. All right. So knowing that, all right, and um, looking at where we are right now. Okay, so I can clean some of this up down here because for right now it's irrelevant, right? So I really like to have my chart as clean as possible, right? Not a whole lot going on. And that may be different for some of you to see, right? It's like, man, this guy don't have no indicators. You know, his chart only got one or two lines. What the hell is going on? Does he know what he's doing? And the answer is yes. All right. You don't need a bunch of fluff, right, to do your stuff. All right, fellas, we don't like all that makeup, right? Okay, ladies, y'all don't like all the softness, right? Okay, so you don't need to, you know, put extra stuff on here just to, you know, understand what's going on, right? We trade what's called naked price action or just price action, and it's the action of price, right? It's just what the candles are doing, right? Can you read it? Can you understand it? Yes or no? If the answer is no, you need to get with me, right? Forexwithbain.com. Click on the link for the Discord and we'll get jiggy, right? If the answer is yes, then cool, right? You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? And trading has probably become a lot less complicated for you because you don't have a lot of indicators and you don't have a lot of things on your chart that you're having to analyze, that you're looking at more so over your candles, right? And the price action is just crazy, right? Some people go through that for years before, they realize, right? Before they see the light. And it's like, man, I didn't need all this stuff, right? And this is what I'm trying to do for everyone. It's just help them see that a lot quicker than they probably would have saw it on their own, right? So that's just that, all right? But again, here on the dollar, guys, expecting it to get to this level of supply. So you can see that we broke this high and we made this new high, right? So I'm expecting some sort of retracement either back to the area that we broke and maybe potentially a little lower, right? Because we still have all of this to potentially get to, right? This is the swing low, right? So price went down, got to this point, and then it went up. So came down and then it swung in the opposite direction. That's why we call it a swing low. All right. And you'll have the same vice versa, to a degree. This is a small iteration of it, but you have price pushing up, right? And then it swings around and drops. So this area will be your swing high. All right. And again, this kind of continues, you know, every day throughout, any given pair or chart or asset where price will drop for some time and then it'll turn around and it'll go up for some time. So you'll end up having what we call swing highs and swing lows. All right, guys. But for right now, all right, we are at this swing high. Now, we didn't push down to create the swing yet, but we haven't, we did give, like a push to where we didn't go any higher, right? And then we started coming down. So we can see it potentially being the swing high, which, this is like the beginning of that swing happening, right? It's just that it's not fully complete because we didn't really, come on down, right? That's that. But now looking at this on the lower time frame, right, and you guys can start to see that, here's an area, right, what we call a point of interest that price can get to. All right, so it actually retested this fair value gap already, right? So I can now move this out the way and bring it to the next fair value gap that it created, which is right here. Okay, and there is a little tiny fair value gap down here, but I won't mark it because it's basically, this whole area next to demand, right? So again, this is also an area that price can potentially get to before it starts to rise. And the reason for that is simple, right? Because this is the last place price was before it rose. So if we come back down to there, there's potential of it repeating what it did in the past. It's just that simple. right? I'm also going to place a Fibonacci on here. I'm going to take it from this low to this high, right? And I'm talking this high to this low, right? And Fibonacci says, well, we'll most likely get right around this area, okay? Or any of this area, right? But we want to get it low if we're expecting it to rise, or we want to buy it. So since we're at that 61.8, or we're aiming for that 61.8, and there's a fair value gap, meaning there's an imbalance in price, there's an unfairness to traders. There was mostly buyers in the market that were able to fill their orders. Sellers couldn't do anything, right? So to make it fair, we'll come back, give the sellers an opportunity to fill their orders, right? And then, we'll probably go ahead and push it back up, just staying in alignment with the current market structure, which is up. All right. That's why, we kind of call these fair value gaps, or at least why I believe they call them fair value gaps, right? So this is what I'm expecting the dollar to push down to this fair value gap. And then from there, we'll be headed up to that supply level. All right. So because of that, again, we're technically going to be bearish this morning on the dollar, right? And now, because we've identified, what direction we believe the dollar is going to go in, we can go and look for those trading opportunities that line up with the dollar falling. All right. So thumbs up, or hit that like and subscribe button if this is making any sense. Okay. So now we'll head over and take a look at the pairs that have the dollar in them, which are called the majors. Right here it is, right? Odd dollar, euro dollar, pound dollar, New Zealand dollar, dollar CAD, dollar CHF, dollar JPY. Those 7 pairs make up what we call your majors. All right. Euro dollar is the most traded pair in the Forex market. All right. So if you're a rookie and you're trying to get your bearings, or at least trade a pair that may be able to do something for you, right? And everyone else is trading, and you'll hear a lot of information about, you want to go ahead and go with the euro dollar. All right. But we'll start with the odd dollar, and just again, because we are bearish on the dollar, we're going to be bullish on the odd dollar. All right. And looking at this, man, it's not quite ready, right? But it is getting towards this demand area right here. All right. So let me readjust. Okay, I'll get rid of this demand for now. It is relevant, but it is a little far away. And we'll take away this supply. All right, so we'll just focus on these 2 zones. Okay, but there is a huge imbalance to the downside. So again, as we, let me switch it real quick. Hold on. Okay, again, as we're expecting the dollar to fall, our real bias is, that we expect it to rise to this level of resistance. Okay. And again, it's already rejecting the 50. So it may very well just start rising from here, right? That's another thing that you guys have to understand. As much as I've told you that price can fall to the 61.8, or balance out this imbalance, right? This fair value gap, or even get to this demand level before rising, right? That's all potential. Okay. What you need to do is look at what the candles are actually telling you. And as of right now, again, the candles are telling me, hey, we're rejecting this 50 and we're starting to push up. The bears are starting to, the bulls are starting to show up, and we're getting rejection, right? These wicks are rejections of bears, meaning it's showing you that it doesn't want to go down, right? And it's showing you that it wants to go up. So the bears push it down, right, to get to 50, but then the bulls push it up to give you that wick that you see right now on the candle, right? These wicks, this, and this, all right? This candle's currently got 12 minutes left on it before it closes. But if it closes with a nice wick, then that means again the bulls are in this area. So we may just get that push up all the way to that supply area, either sometime today or maybe coming into next week. But with that being said, right, if it does rise, then we'll want to be looking for selling opportunities on a pair like the odd dollar, which I can see again, we can potentially get all the way to this fair value gap in this demand area. Okay. But yeah, there's still more time to wait to see what this candle does, because it's as it looks like it's rejecting the bulls right now, everything's still open. The candle's still open. Buying and selling, or bulls and bears are still fighting. They're still at the tug of war. So they got 11 minutes to do what they're gonna do, and you don't know who's winning, or you don't know who won. Let's put it that way, right? When we look at these previous candles, they all close, right? So clearly the bulls won right here, right? The bulls won again, right? You get what I'm saying? You can see that, right? The bulls won here. The bears kind of won here. Then the bears started winning as we pushed down, pushed down. Then the bulls came back and they started winning, right? So what is it going to be, for some of the next candles that paint? Who's going to be in control? You won't know that until the candle closes, right? This is where you hear about patience, right? Being patient in the Forex market. But what are people really being patient about? Stuff like this, waiting for a candle to close, waiting for a candle to get to a particular area, right? Waiting for confirmation of candles to get above certain levels, certain zones, certain trend lines, certain indicators, etc., etc., etc. Right? That's what the patience is all about when you hear about it, if nobody has broken that down to you guys. All right? Again, hit that like and subscribe button for me. Okay? So we need to wait for that candle to close. Look, we used to have a big wick. Now we have a tiny wick, right? With 9 minutes left. So you don't really know. We may, boom, right? And these candles can move, you see them moving slow right now, but they can pick up in a matter of no time and just go boom, hit into this fair value gap and take off. One of my previous lives, we had a sell limit on NAS, right? And I went over to one chart to take a look at it, and then I clicked back over, and NAS already hit that sell limit and started dropping, and we were in profit. And I mean, we blinked, right? And that happened. So again, just letting you guys know, you have to wait to see what the candles are telling you in order to, try to make your move. So that's where all the waiting comes from, and that's where all the patience comes from. If you can't wait for that, and you're so eager to make money, right? So you end up, doing something like, let's say you sell the odd dollar because you think, man, this is going to go up, right? Because you saw the wicks, wicks, wicks. So you sell the odd dollar, and then all of a sudden, these candles start falling, and you start losing because the odd dollar goes up when you sold it and you're expecting it to go down, and you're like, what the hell is going on, right? And that scenario, you just weren't patient enough for price to let you know for sure that it's ready to go up, right? So if we get candles, if we get all these candles to come down to this fair value gap, or potentially this demand area, and then we start seeing bull candles come from these areas, right? If we start seeing bull candles come from these areas, these are the determinations, right? These are the determining factors to let you know, okay, now price is ready to rise. It's finished its pullback, right? It's gotten to the discounted areas, right? It's gotten to the key points of interest where it shows us bulls have shown up. Look at the massive candles from this area. Look at this look at this area here, right? Again, another massive push up, right? These are the things that we're looking at. These are the things that we're reading to say, hey, there's bulls in this area. So don't you want to buy, right? Or don't you expect price to repeat itself in that sense? And the answer should be yes, because technically that's what the market is really all about, right? It's just kind of, that's why they tell us to look left, look in the past, see what happened. Okay. You guys can apply it to real life, right? If you have somebody, who is always drinking, right? They drink every Friday, right? You know what I'm saying? And today's Friday. What might you expect them to be doing? You get what I'm saying? It's that kind of party, right? And again, the quicker you guys begin to understand that, things will be a lot more understandable. All right. So just giving you guys some tidbits here, and then now we'll go and get to the candy. All right. But again, things are developing, so not every, things may not be ready to go, but we're just evaluating what the possibilities are. When it gets around 9:30 and the stock market opens, things will start to move a lot quicker, and we'll have a better understanding of the potential of what price is going to do and which direction it's going to head in, and that's where we can be ready to enter a trade and make our money for the day. All right. So again, back over to the majors, and odd dollar, again, what it looks like it's going to do is push down, respect this level, and then potentially push back up to supply, right? It also may push down and just keep falling. It depends on what the dollar looks like it's going to do. So we're a little bit in a like an indecisive area for right now, but we can easily, that can easily change when we get closer to, uh, midday, if you will. All right. But looking at it, it definitely looks like it'll probably potentially keep falling. All right. Because again, I just see a lot of liquidity, trendline liquidity here, and then that imbalance right above that demand that is, just acting as a magnet for price. So we're definitely wanting to pull down to this area, but when will that happen? That part we just don't know yet. All right, but we did break this low, so again, we may get a little push up, right, as a retracement to maybe right here in this area, and then we'll get that drop coming all the way down, right? So that is also another possibility, right? So I'm looking for that. Okay, but not ready just yet on odd dollar, euro dollar. Okay, I see the same exact thing. Huge imbalance to be filled to the left. And guys, this is just the complete inverse of what the dollar's doing. And let me see if I can show you guys that in a very easy way here. All right, we'll do new pane. All right, hang tight. We're gonna get this right. All right. Oh, so all right, boom, there we go. All right, watch this. These are my confessions. Um, Here, just look at that. Does that not look like the complete opposite of one another? Right? On euro dollar, you have price coming down. Dollar, you have price coming up. Euro, you have price going up. Dollar, you have price going down. Right? Let's do it again. Coming down, going up. Coming up, right? Going down. Consolidating, consolidating. Okay? Coming down, going up. Coming up, going down. And then going down and going up. You see what I'm saying? Complete opposite of one another, right? So this is how easy it is to make money trading Euro USD, because it is the most correlated pair with the dollar. It's like a, if you ask me, it's like 100% correlated, right? And I'm saying negatively, meaning that when the dollar rises, euro falls, and vice versa. When the dollar falls, euro rises, and I just demonstrated that exactly to the T by showing you guys the comparison, right? So it's quite simple to say, okay, if we expect the dollar to fall, then we just buy Euro USD. If we expect the dollar to rise, then we just sell Euro USD, right? And that's really all you need to succeed, right? But you got to really understand what's going on, all right? And I'm here to help you with that, right? Just tap in, okay? So let's clean this up and we'll see again what it's going to be with the dollar, because it's in a little bit of a mixy state, right? It looks like it can pull back to do a retracement, and then it also looks like it kind of wants to rise. So it's rough because it always turns into a waiting game. And for those who aren't patient, right, they don't want to wait, so they'll end up making that decision whether it's buy or sell without like any real confirmation, right? So if they happen to lose it, they're trying to wonder what happened and why. And again, that's just part of the reason, because they didn't really wait for price to develop and show them exactly which direction it wanted to go in. All right, so hopefully, this makes some sense, and this is something that you guys can incorporate. If you got questions about it, please let me know and I'll break it down. All right, but get rid of the comparison. And here again, like I mentioned, we're still bearish as far as this leg is concerned, right? We're dropping, right? So we can still just continue dropping, and that's technically kind of what I see getting ready to happen. All right, so again, as much as the dollar looks like it wants to do this retracement, or it has the potential to do it, it also kind of looks like we're about to just head right on up. All right, now I did not check the news today, but I'll check it in a second just to see if we got any kind of catalyst in that regards. But the Fed is shut down, so most of the news has been tentative. All right, so mm, 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 mm. Okay, so it looks like we do have uh, prelim University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment. All right, and this is at 10 a.m. All right, so it's 9 o'clock now. This may give us some sort of activity on the dollar around that time. So if you guys are, available to take a look at the charts, 10 o'clock is the time to do so, to see if the dollar starts to rise or if it starts to pull back a little more. Okay, and honestly, we would want it to pull back, right? The reason why is because when it pulls back or when it drops, right, these non-dollar based pairs like euro dollar, odd dollar, pound dollar, New Zealand dollar, they will rise, right? And that's what I would like to see. I would like to see price rise to this resistance area so that I can sell it, or the supply area so that I can sell it from this area where I'm selling it higher than where price currently is, right? I can sell it right here, right? And it may just drop. It may not go back to supply, right? That is a possibility. But how things normally turn out is that you'll get some sort of drop, just like you did right here. And then what happened next? You get a retracement almost all the way back to where that supply area was. And then you get the next drop. So let's look at it again. You get another drop here, right? But we didn't get anything pulling back to this area, right? So sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't, right? It just all depends on a few things. But what we can expect is when we start seeing price not getting any lower, and it creates some sort of low where you can see it creates these lows. It creates these lows. Look, almost each time we're getting at least 2 to 3 candles that go in the opposite direction. 2 to 3 candles going in the opposite direction. Sometimes more, sometimes less, but you'll get a minimum of at least like 2 to 3, right? And that lets you know it is actually retracing, pulling back, or trying to reach the supply area so that it can continue to fall, right? Again, really hope this is making sense. Let me know, right? Any questions, any comments, any concerns, hit the like and subscribe button, all right? But that's what I would want the dollar to do, to fall, so that price could rise on the euro dollar and get to this area, and then I'll have me a short position and a sell limit right at this area to get me in for a sell. I'll have my stop above this high because I see a little imbalance here. Okay, so that means price could rise up to that and go and get it and I don't want to get got by having a very tight stop loss above supply, right? So I'm going to go ahead and get above the high right here at these wicks, right? So stop loss above that, and that should keep me safe from getting taken out of the trade. Also, I can place my entry a little higher. That way my risk is less. So when I had it here to the beginning of supply, I'm risking about 50 pips, right? But when I take it up to the fair value gap, trying to get it from this highest point, I'm only risking about 20 pips, right? And then we just want to bring it down to this low, right? That's giving us a 1 to 4 risk to reward, where we're risking only 20 pips to make about looks like 88 pips, right? And that's bananas, okay? But that will happen so quickly when it actually gets here, because again, all the bearish pressure is waiting to just reapply itself, all right? And that's how that goes. So euro dollar, I'm going to set a sell limit at this area. Okay, I'm going to place my stop above that high, and I'm going to set my TP to this level, right, this support level, or the swing low for about 88 pips. But to be honest, because I know what's sitting to the left, right, all this imbalance, right, I'm going to just push it all the way to the low, guys. All right, and that may take some time. That may not play out just today on this Friday, but coming into next week, it could easily get there, right? And that's 193 pips versus the 88 pips at this low. All right, guys. So here I will give you guys this play for Euro USD. It is a nice one. And the moment this gets tapped into and drops, you'll be super happy. All right. But again, trade at your own discretion. If you feel this is good setup, all right, rock with it. If not, right, do what you feel is best. All right. But here we go. Again, most traded pair in the Forex market. Okay. You guys are up early. Getting it in when most people are yawning. Okay. So big up yourself. And I salute to all those who are just trying to get it. All right. Trying to make a way. Trying to level up. Okay, this is again 194 pips to the downside. There is the play on Euro USD, right? A very nice sell limit setup where price can net you almost 200 pips, all right? On a standard lot, that's making $10 per pip. That is $2,000, okay? On a mini lot, making $1 per pip, that's $200. On a micro lot, making 10 cents per pip, that is $20. All right. Don't feel like you can't make money on the micros, right? Or most people don't want to, stay in the micros because it's like, hey, it's just a little bit of money. It's not paying my bills, right? I don't want to do it. I want to over leverage. I want to take out a lot size that my account can't handle, and I'll rather have my account blown than to make, $10 here, $5 there, $20 there, right? This is, part of the reason why you guys hear a lot of unsuccessful stories, right? Because it really does take money to make money. So, when people ask me all the time, what amount of money should I start with? Right? I'll tell them, hey, if you can get into the 500s, or if you can get into the hundreds, period, you're good, right? That's a very good place. You can take out minis on Euro USD, and again, I told you a mini gives you $1 per pip. So on a play like this, you can make $200 in a day, or maybe 2 days, or even in a week. And even with that much time, that's still a good amount of money for just taking one trade. And on top of that, you started with 100 and you made 200. So you actually double or triple your money, right, on that one play, right? So $100 is kind of like, the best place to start if we're going low, right? You can start with anything below 100, but you got to crawl, right? You know what I mean? You got to really know what you're doing, and you have to not overdo it, right? And if you can do that, you'll see that small account grow over time, right? It might take a month, right? It might take a little more than that, but it will get to the point where you're in the hundreds, and then you level up to taking the minis, right? And again, not overdoing it when you take out the minis, right? That'll start making you potentially 50s and 60s and hundreds, right, throughout the day or the week. And before you know it, you're at 1,000, right? And again, I have shout out to my boy Nate, right? He probably starts out with maybe $50, somewhere along that lines, and he always ends up with like $1,000 by the end of the week, right? Because he really understands what he's doing. He's trading certain particular pairs, right? Like GJ and EJ in gold, right? He sticks to these pairs, and they pay, right? With the right setup, the right timing, right? The right risk, right? You can run that account up very, very quickly, right? But it takes the skill set and the education of knowing how to trade and what's going on in the market to do that. Again, if you're really looking to figure this out, you better come tap in with me, okay? But yeah, 100 is good, 500 is better, 1,000 is best, right? If you get 1,000, we can really do some things. All right, we can get into NAS and SPY and the indices and US 30, and we can have one trade that'll get you thousands of dollars, right? So just trying to get you guys to understand, like, this is legit, right? It's not this scam. It's not this, place where people just go to lose their money, right? It's a legitimate place where people are changing their lives if they take it serious enough, right? Own up to their own problems and issues and stop blaming everybody else. Oh, that person gave me a bad trade. Well, why are they giving you a trade? Why don't you know how to trade? Oh, this group did that and that group did this, and the market makers did this. It's like it's everybody else's fault, right? And those individuals, it is what it is, right? They're just, it's just forever going to be somebody else's. They're never going to look inside. They're never going to correct. They're never going to say, I wasn't patient. I had FOMO. I had fear. I revenge trade. I over leverage. I over traded, right? I did too much. They're never going to say anything like that, right? You'll never hear that come out of their mouth. And that's why they won't have any success, right? And again, if this is, hitting you in the chest, all right, it is what it is. But yeah, just want to let you guys know, this thing is real, it's possible, but you got to get educated, right? It may take you no time to pick it all up. It may take you some time, but hey, late is better than never, right? So again, guys, let's put it together. Small accounts can be flipped if played correctly. Again, just like I mentioned, right? And he is the ambassador for that. So I will co-sign on that all day long, right? Just again, guys, don't think it's sweet, right? In terms of, oh, I'm a flip, I'm gonna flip my account. Yeah, you're gonna flip it with education, right? Yeah, but without it, you're gonna flip it the wrong way to where it's not showing any balance. All right, but there's the sell limit on euro dollar, guys. Again, I like it for that drop, and who knows, it may play out after we get off today, and you guys will be like, holy camoli, right? This guy must know something, right? Look, so we got the rejection, right? um and this was a bear candle, so this actually was a bearish engulfing candle to this previous candle, right? So that's showing that the bears are kind of taking over here. And then this is another little tidbit, all right? So pay attention to me. One candle, two candle. This one candle took up the body of both of these candles. Do you get what I'm saying? It engulfed both of these candles. You can pretty much fit this candle into the body of this one and this one into the body of this candle and still have more push to the downside. All right. So this is kind of telling us that the bears are starting to get in the mix, which again, I want it to happen, right? I want the bears to push it down, make it lower. Therefore, my euro trade can get up to this area and then drop. You get what I'm saying? So that's what I'll be looking for on uh uh you know the euro USD and the dollar for today, and again possibly mapping out to next week. So what may happen today is that we just get the rise, right? So maybe we're buying up to this area for today, right? But again, like I said, you just never know how quick that's going to happen, right? I can click over to the dollar, come back to euro, and then all of a sudden we got hit, price pushed up and went right to this fair value gap, and then it's starting to drop. So you just don't know, right? But what you do know is that this is your best opportunity for selling. You know what I'm saying? That's what that is. And if you got that order that's just sitting there waiting, lurking in the bushes, right? Then you can go on about your day and let price do whatever it's going to do in terms of moving up. And when it does, it'll activate your order, get you in the trade without you doing a thing because you already set it and forget it, right? And then as you wind down in the day and it's coming to the close, you check that trade and all of a sudden you're up 50 pips, you're up 60 pips. Hell, you might even be up 100. You understand what I'm saying? You'd be like, man, that was the easiest money I ever made. All I did was just put this little order in, and then that was it. I was like, what? I think I like Forex. All right, and you guys need to check out my song. It's called "I Think I Love Forex." All right, if anybody wants it, please send me an email. All right, Big Bain at forexwithbain.com. All right. No idea how you're not bigger. This knowledge is gold. Options, it's all in due time. All in due time, my boy. You have no clue. I was just talking with my boy Ghost last night about this, and we put it together in the sense of, how when Thanksgiving comes around and you're so ready to eat, but grandma's still cooking up everything, you know what I mean, the stuff that really takes time, the stuff that you can't put in the microwave. You understand what I'm saying? You can't just put it on the table quickly because it's just not ready yet, right? That's been my journey. Like, people are going to know about me soon and very soon, but it is going to, it's going to shock the shit out of them. They're going to be like, who is this guy? I got about over 100 tracks so far. I'm still creating more music. I'm still creating content. Again, just a lot. I have a lot of projects that I haven't really gotten a chance to release yet because I understand I'm gonna shake up the world. Okay, I'm really gonna shake this forex market up. I'm gonna get people seeing the light, right? And my music still educates you at the same token, but it makes you move, it makes you groove, and I incorporate forex into it, which is something that again nobody is has done. So just keep rocking with me because I'm telling you, it's going to be a movie sooner than later. So being bigger, you know, is has its perks obviously, but it also has its cons. I'm not really necessarily worried about the cons. I'm very self confident. I'm my own critic and I'm my own biggest fan. So that's I'm solidified in that sense, right? I don't need that kind of fame. I don't need that kind of recognition to do what I do, right? I help people regardless, on camera, off camera, it doesn't matter, right? You know what I mean? I do what I do in the market regardless. You feel me? So that's never going to change. You know what I mean? Now, yes, once you become bigger, people start speaking your name and, things seem to be a little different. I know what they say, oh, money won't change me and, fame won't change me and this and that and that and this. But I truly believe that for myself because, I've tapped into me and I just understand that's where everything comes from. It comes from inside. It doesn't come from, Nate saying, oh man, you the best, or options, even you saying, oh man, you should be bigger. It doesn't come from that. You know what I mean? Like, it comes from, hey, how do you feel about what it is that you do and, with yourself, right? And again, if you guys kind of tap into yourself, you'll see exactly or feel exactly what I'm talking about, right? It's a self love. It's a self realization, right? It's not external, right? We're all looking for the external. That's why these girls are half naked on IG. That's why people are doing the most, on social media, because they're seeking this validation. They're seeking this attention, right, from external sources, right? If you get the likes, if you get the views, and all of a sudden you're popping, right? But you're miserable, right? How does that happen, right? Somebody explain that. Okay. The gist of it is it's an internal thing, right? So you get an internal thing corrected, or you tap into it, right? Then everything else just really kind of doesn't matter. But at the same token, I appreciate that love, man, of seeing the value in what I'm giving out, because that is my goal, right? To leave that on this earth, value, and education, and good times, good vibes, right? That's what I'm all about. So again, if anybody would like to listen to any of the music that I have, you can tap into um, or you can go to BeatStars. I only have maybe like one or two tracks out on the streaming services. So you got to look for artist Big Bain. All right, BIGBAIN. All right, look for that artist. You can check me out on BeatStars. All right, I can try to link you guys to that. Give me a second, but I will, you know, I'll have some some heavy stuff dropping to the world uh, to get into, and yeah, you guys will know. You guys will say, "Wait a minute, all right, where did this guy come from?" Okay, so this is what we have, all right. But again, thank you very much. I do appreciate all the love, guys. It does mean a lot. All right. So let's move on. All right. There's pound dollar. It looks just like euro dollar, right? Broke the low. This is now our swing high at this area. All right. And this will technically, start to be our low, but it hasn't really swung yet. All right. So that's that. But again, if we get the dollar to look at that, now we're getting rejection of the bulls, okay, with the wicks above the candle on the dollar. So I do believe we're going to get that pushed down. So guys, if you want to, all right, get to the lower time frame, all right, on these non-dollar based pairs, all right, and I'm just fine tuning this supply area. It should be right about, I'll go with this one because there's a tiny fair value gap sitting there, right? So what we want, and we'll probably take this right now just so I can demonstrate what it is, right? Coming up to that supply area, and we can get away with a very tight stop right below this actual low that it made right here, all right? And dun, 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 dun. Actually, this is liquidity with these equal lows, and then this is just a low. All right, well, I'll make it the swing low for now, even though we didn't get much of a swing, but we did start going higher from this low point. So there is potential of it swinging, which is exactly what we expected to do. So now looking at this, guys, basically what has happened, right, is when we look at our Asian session, the Asian session was very tight. So, we call that constriction, all right? It's almost like a rattlesnake that's coiled up, right? If you go to try to touch it or get too close to it, what's going to happen? It's going to spring out and bite you, right? And when we see this in the market, we know that eventually, look, price will spring out, okay? And then it'll do what it does and potentially go in whatever direction you're expecting it to go in. So as I'm looking at this, it out the Asian session in the London session is still consolidated a bit more, right? And then right around 6:30 is when it took out the low of the Asian session, right? And this was all again liquidity because we had equal lows sitting here. So we just swept that liquidity, and now we're starting to push up, all right? But in this push up, we're engineering more liquidity to get taken. So what's going to happen is price is going to take this liquidity, probably take out this low, or at least tap to it, right? And then start to rise to take out the liquidity above the Asian session. And then all the imbalance that's sitting here, right? All the imbalance that's sitting here, and then get into this supply area. All right. So these are the reasons why I will be taking a buy on GU. Also, because with the dollar, it's giving me bearish vibes, all right, in terms of completing its retracement, right, to this fair value gap and potentially to this demand area. So, like I said, the dollar's inversely correlated, is oppositely correlated. So, if it's going down, these dollar based pairs, or I'm sorry, these non dollar based pairs, right, where the dollar's on the right, these pairs will start to go up, right? And we have money. This is the other thing. When you guys can't see where the money is, you don't know, which direction you should be trading, but there's money behind this consolidation. People sold from this level. They made money, but their stop losses are behind here. And then there's somebody who looked at this consolidation and they say, hey, if it breaks out above, then I want to be able to get into it for a buy. So they have a buy stop order here, which is also just money. Okay. Your buy stop orders there. So you have stop losses for sellers, and then you have buy stops for buyers. So this area is holding a lot of orders. You guys can't see it visually because there's nothing, there's no indicator on here to show you what we call the depth. I'm sorry, yeah, the depth of the market, DEPTH, right? And they usually abbreviate that as the DOM, DOM, depth of market. And all that really is is showing you where people's orders are. That's it, right? It's just showing you where the orders are, right? They call that level 2, level 3, whatever, right? It's just you getting to see more than just the bid and the ask price. That's sitting here for when you're buying and selling. You get to see where other participants, other retail traders, other hedge funds have orders sitting, right? Okay, Nate, he got a order, he got a sell limit order sitting up here as supply, and he has a standard lot on it, right? And his stop loss is maybe someplace else up here, right? And it'll tell you, you know, that his order's there. It'll show you that, right? And you'd be like, oh, somebody got a standard lot for a sell limit up here. Okay, that's good. So what does that mean? That means he needs people to buy from him since he's selling, right? So if he needs people to buy, well, all of these people are the buyers. Price is coming up. All right, we are willing to buy that standard lot from you at that price, right? They didn't want to buy it at this price or that price, right? They're okay with getting it here and selling it off, right? So again, guys, it's a lot to this in terms of just knowing where the money is, when it's ready to go, all of those things, right? People don't typically you know think about all of this being a part of it because it's just not taught in that kind of way. It's just like, hey guys, get this Lamborghini. You know what I mean? Get this big house. I made, I took $10 and I made $10 million. You can do it too, right? It's like, what? Okay, get a Forex account, put all my money in there. Hit buy or sell. Don't know, have no clue what I'm doing. Lose all my money, and now Forex is a scam. You get what I'm saying? So, again, guys, not what we want. All right, but G's getting ready, and it's about that time. So we need to take this, and we can also set the sell limit. We can catch this both ways. That's the beauty, right? I'm expecting it to get to here, and then when it gets to here, I'm expecting it to drop. So we'll have something like this: our long position right here, and then we'll have our short position right in the middle of the supply area. We're getting right behind it for our stop loss, and we're coming right back down to right where we came from. Guys, it's stupid, okay? It's stupid. All right, stupid easy, okay? And coming up, we're making 112 pips. Coming down, we're making 127 pips. This first one is a risk to reward 1 to 5. All that means is if you risk 1,000, you can make 5,000. And this one is a 1 to 10. So you guessed it. You risked $1,000, you can make $10,000, right? But we're talking big numbers. You want to talk something more realistic? Let's just say you took out a mini, right? 0.10, right? You're making $1 per pip. So that means on this trade, you'll make $112. That's realistic, all right? And then you flip it to the other side, still making $1 per pip, right? You make $127. So do the math. 112, 127, right? You're sitting at roughly $300 off of two trades that were easy peasy lemon squeezy. You had great risk to reward. You're only risking $19 on one trade, and then you're only risking $12 on the other trade. This is how, when you have the education, guys, you can take a low account size and flip it. So the total you would have lost if you lose this trade, that's $19. So $20, let's round it, right? You lost 20 here, and then you lost $12 here if you lose these trades, right? So total you lose about, right, roughly, 35, $40, right? And that means if you had $100 account, you're still alive. You understand what I'm saying? But that same $100 account getting into these trades, right, will get you 112 going up and then 127 going down. So again, almost $300 added to your $100 balance. Guys, you went from 100 to 400 and on a Friday. So you tripled your account, and now you can definitely, potentially get into a standard lot on Euro USD or Pound USD. It'll cost you maybe like $200, maybe 250, right? But you got it. You got 400 in there. Okay. So then all that turns around, right? Instead of making $1 per pip on this buy or $1 per pip on the sell, you're making $10 per pip. And guess what? 10 times 100, that's a band. That's $1,000. So you went from $100 to $400, and then from $400 to $1,400, right? You get what I'm saying? Hey guys, please just take the time, all right, to tap in, all right? Tell your people, tell your cousins, tell anybody who you know is slightly interested in trading Forex, right? Tell them you found somebody. Tell them you got their back, all right? But here we go. Let's get this trade in. It's 9:30 on the dot, all right? It did dip, right? So now I'm just going to buy it because I know it's going to sweep these lows. So I'm just going to buy it now. It's close enough, all right? If it hits, come on. All right, it always wants to act up, I think, because the stock market is opening. So we need to get it right now. Any day now. Okay, I don't know. Let's just try to crank it. Finally, all right, there it is. So here, placing a stop loss right here. Okay, yeah, there may be something going on with the network, but you guys know what we're aiming for. All right, there it is. And then up here is where we want that take profit. All right, so I'm going to give you guys this play. All right, there's our buy on GU. All right, we have the sell limit. That was the first trade call on EU. All right, and now I'm going to give you guys the sell limit for GU. All right, so this could very well play out today, and then maybe Sunday or Monday, this plays out, right? And you guys will be like, holy shit. First time you made some money. All right, there's that sell limit. We'll crank it up a little bit on the stop loss. Again, we're only risking about 12 pips or 15 pips or so. Yeah, it's lagging. I don't know if it's my connection or trading view or what, but something's up. Again, guys, let me know if you can still hear me okay. All right, boom, there it is. All right, guys, let me get you these plays and send you on your way. All right, feeling more educated, right? Feeling more confident, right? Feeling like there's hope now, you know? Trust and believe. I know how it is. All right, just trying to find who can explain this shit to where I can understand it, right? Where I can feel like I can actually do it. And you found them. All right, here we go. GU. All right, pound dollar. All right, this is a market buy now. All right. Oh, come on now. Don't do me like that. And this thing's tripping. All right, so I'm going to buy it again because it closed out my buy order. All right, there. So our stop loss. Okay, here is our TP. All right, now, oh, there we go. All right, so here's your stop loss, 22 pips. Or your entry actually first is 1.32713, and you'll be around that price point if you buy it right now. All right, stop loss is 1.32492. All right, again, 22 pips on that. Your take profit is 1.33816, and you're looking at 110 pips for your take profit. All right, that's the buy right now. Please get into that. But your sell limit, all right, this is the pending order on pound dollar. Don't forget to do sell limit and not sell stop. All right, you will be disappointed. All right, so sell limit. Okay, again, the numbers are on the chart, but your entry is here. Okay, your stop loss is just 12 pips. Ridiculous. Okay, damn near sniper entries. And take profit is 129 pips. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, there you have it. All right, great setups. And look, we are in profit already on GU. Again, I still expect a little sweep, right? So I'm expecting it to kind of go down a little further. Like, let's get to the 5-minute. So I'm expecting price to do this, sweep this liquidity, tap into demand, play around, and then kaboom, right? Get on up to where we wanted to get to. And then once we get there, right, I expect it to hit supply. Well, this will take us out. We'll make 100 and some odd pips, and then it'll push a little deeper into supply, activate our sell limit, and come right back down to where we started. All right, guys, it just wait. All right, this is all recorded, so you guys can come back and check this out next week and see how things played out. Right, that's one thing I'm very big on, the before and after, because seeing is believing in this regard, right? To where when you can see what it was before and you see how it played out after, and it's exactly what you predicted, oh, your confidence, it soars, right? And you start to really understand, man, you can make something out of this, all right? But it comes with the understanding, and I'll give that to you, right? If you tap in, right? Guys, any questions, any comments, any concerns? Let me give you my broker, Nick. One sec. But it is Gates for right now. Now I'm really, I'm very, cautious with these overseas brokers. All right, just FYI. But I do have my Oanda and my Forex account. All right, because they are regulated and they're always safe with the way that these offshore brokers keep getting canceled left and right. Right. So make sure that you have Oanda or Forex, and that's if you're in the States. I'm not sure where you are, because if you're not in the States, you don't really necessarily have this issue because there's a lot of offshore brokers that are regulated in their areas, in their, in their countries and things like that. So, you may not have to worry about that. But if you're in the States, you want to make sure that you get a broker. You get an account with a regulated broker like Oanda, OANDA, Oanda.com, and Forex.com. But the broker that I gave you is an offshore broker that I'm currently using for the leverage, right? Because it's slower. You make money a whole lot slower with regulated brokers because they cap your leverage. They only give you 50 or 1 to 50 on the leverage. So you got to put a lot of money in, and even when you take a position, it takes a long time to make money. So, you know, believe it or not, I feel like that's just a way for them to keep Americans, not really succeeding, and, deter them from Forex because they know that Forex can change the game. You understand what I'm saying? So they cap you, they limit you, right? They put handcuffs on your, your progression, if you will, right? Or your money making opportunity or possibility. So this is why we go with the regulated brokers, because there's no there's no they take the cap off, right? They don't keep it at 1 to 50. They give you up to 500, sometimes even 1,000, and that's where you can take a small account and make it huge in no time. So those are some of the pros and cons, if you will. But yeah, that's the broker I'm currently using. So again, guys, any questions, any comments, any concerns? All right. In that regards, guys, we are out of here. Appreciate y'all showing up. Appreciate y'all showing love. Can tell somebody to tell somebody. All right, to tap in with me. And next week, I will be going live all week next week as well, but I'll be coming in a little later, right? So we'll try to do 9:30 so we can catch some of the things that is happening in the market with our indices, all right, and try to make some plays on those and show you guys how people take advantage of that, right? And again, you can already see, right, as the market opens, we get a nice push up on NAS, we get a nice push up on SPY, SPY, and we get a nice push up on US 30, and that's right out the gate. So, preparing for that, we could have, and look, there's 200 points on US 30 that would have got you $200 in 45 minutes, right? NAS pushed up 79, so it would have got you $80 in 15 minutes, and then SPY got you $16 in about 15 minutes. All right, but looking at this from a higher time frame, just really quick, we're getting ready to get that drop. All right, because on the dollar, we're getting ready to get that rise. Right, so these indices will be falling. All right, especially if they cut interest rates at the end of the month in October, which is what everybody's expecting. We're going to see these indices fall. So I really want you guys to tap in with me, throughout the rest of the month, because you're going to be able to take advantage of this. And I'm talking about big money on these indices to the downside. All right. So just something to look forward to, um, to staying in the mix. All right. But other than that, guys, that'll do it for today. All right. Y'all be safe out there. All right. And I'll see y'all next week. All right. Have a great weekend. Peace.